देशतार हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So I'm very happy to be amongst all of you here. So we will discuss one of the most important fundamental teachings of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. And somehow it is very important that we write at the foundation of our practices in our parampara, study these truths. Especially within the Shad Darshan, there is Nyaya, Vaishishika, Sankhya, Yoga, and there is the Purva Mimamsa and the Uttar Mimamsa. The Uttar Mimamsa is given by Vyasdev. The Purva Mimamsa is the Karma Mimamsa, which is Jaimini Rishi. Now, within the Vedanta, Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan, within the Vedanta Darshan, there are these four sampradayas. Of course, there is also two divisions in it. There is the impersonalist school and the personalist school. Within the impersonalist is the Shankaracharya, Shankara Darshan, and within the personalist are the four sampradayas. And there is a Dvaita, there is a Dvaita Dvaita, Shuddha Dvaita Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, and then there is a Achintya Veda Ved, Mahaprabhu. No, it is somewhere in between the Achintya Veda Veda. So, as brahmacharis or those who want to understand the Gaudiya Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vedanta Siddhanta or Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan, principally in our beginning of practices of Krishna consciousness, we should study, in fact, Prakashanan Samvad and Sarvabhaum Samvad. Prakashan Samvad and Sarvabhaum Samvad. These two samvads are very important. They are like studying the Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan. Okay. Now, Tattva is very, very important. Chaitanya Charitamrita, that famous verse, Siddhanta Boliya Chitta Na Kare Alas. Iha Lagya Krishne Sudrida Manas. Siddhanta. Siddhanta Boliya Chitta Na Kare Alas. Don't be lazy to understand Siddhanta. Because if you understand Siddhanta, then Sudrida Manas. So the consciousness is very hazy. And just like when you churn butter, you start bringing in everything together by the churning. And when you start churning the buttermilk, it's not buttermilk yet, because only when the butter comes out, it is burnt. The curd, which is mixed with water, the curd is thick. And when it is mixed with water, then you start churning it, then the essence in the form of cream is the butter. The butter is compared to the cream, right? So similarly, our consciousness is very hazy, and to fix our consciousness on Krishna, this churning of the Siddhanta is required. This churning of the Siddhanta is required. And by churning the Siddhanta is like understanding the Tattva, truth. And from Tattva comes Rasa. These two things are very important, Tattva and Rasa. Usually we go for directly Rasa, you know. And Rasa is a very deep science. You know, everyone wants to taste Rasa. But we have to first understand Tattva. And automatically, with the churning of the Tattva, Rasa will automatically manifest. So that is why understanding Tattva is very, very important. And as I was discussing this morning, that Prabhupada emphasized this right in his introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, that essay, that classic, article of 45 pages. So there also he brings out these tattvas, you know, the Jiva Tattva, Ishwar Tattva, Prakriti Tattva, Kala Tattva, and the Karma Tattva. Of course, the first three are most important. So these terminologies, especially which are within the Gaudiya Vedanta darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these terminologies also we need to understand. And the more we get familiarized with these terminologies, then better we can understand the truths. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has extracted the teachings of Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami in the Sanatana Shiksha, that Mahaprabhu taught these 10 truths to Sanatana Goswami. It is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but if you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very difficult to figure out where these 10 truths are spoken. But Mahaprabhu actually originally taught these truths to Sanatana Goswami, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has extracted them for us. And he has presented what is called as the Dasha Mula Tattva. Dasha Mula Tattva. Are you familiar with this term Dasha Mula? Have you heard somewhere Dasha? You heard Dasha Avtara. In Ayurveda, you heard about this Dasha Mula?
In what?
In Ayurveda?
No problem.
Nobody has taken Ayurvedic. No, Ayurveda also. No, you have not taken, anyone has not taken Ayurveda medicines?
As of now, by Krishna.
So in Ayurveda, there is a preparation, Kashaya. It's, yeah, Punararishtam, so many Arishtas are there. There is a Dasha Mula Arishta. There is what is called as the Dasha Mula Arishta. It is preparation from 10, herbs. And this Dasha Mula Arishta you can regularly take, which keeps your health very good. So just like this Dashamula Arishta destroys the disease of the body from the root. So similarly, this Dashamula Tattva destroy the ignorance of the soul from the root. From the root. So that's why we have to study this Dashamula Tattva. So at various places, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has presented this Dashamula Tattva. He has presented in his Bhaktyaloka article, Utsa Nishchay Dhairyat. In Nishchay, he presents this Dashamula Tattva in summary. Then he has presented this in his Jaiva Dharma. And then he has written an entire book also called as the Dashamula Tattva. But originally, it is there in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has picked up from there. And Prabhupada, in all his purports, emphasizes this Sambandha Videya Prayojan everywhere. So today we will just have an introductory discussion on this Dashamula Tattva, and sometime, brahmacharis, you are all studying Chaitanya Charitamrita. You also study the Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially the Prakashanan Samvad and the Sarvabhaum Samvad. Yeah. These are the foundational Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan philosophy. So we should study that. So especially when Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes his article on Nishchaya, Utsaha Nishchaya. Nishchaya means confidence. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very interesting point there. He says that person who has doubt, lacks faith in Krishna. And doubt is a sign of intelligence. And these doubts are there, that means you're not still firm, right? So in order to become firm and have firm confidence in the Lord, one should understand these Dashamula Tattvas, he says. So then one, will have what? Pure faith, complete faith in the Lord. So the faith will ultimately develop by understanding transcendental knowledge. So that's why he presents those truths, and then he starts the series of discussion on these Dashamula Tattva there. And the best way to study this Dashamula Tattva is through the Sanatan Shiksha. We did a study of the entire Sanatan Shiksha, 4 chapters. Actually, it is 5 chapters, but 4 in essence, you can say. Chapter 20, 21, 22, and 23. 24 is the 64 explanations of the Atmaram verse, which is again teaching to Sanatana Goswami, but there, that is a separate topic, you can see. After the whole philosophical discussion is over, then, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sanatana Goswami is very keen to hear the explanation. He gave 11 explanations to Sarvam Bhattacharya, but here he gave 64 explanations. And it's very interesting to know, although we are Rupanugas and we are followers of Rupa Goswami, and although Sanatana Goswami is the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami considers Sanatana Goswami to be his spiritual master, but yet Mahaprabhu taught Rupa Goswami only 10 days in Prayag, Shashwamedh Ghat. But he taught Sanatana Goswami 2 months. So that means how much we should spend time in understanding Sambandha Gyan. So the principal scripture of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas is which book? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Nectar of Instructions. Updeshamrit. Any other books names, you can tell. Huh? Srimad Bhagavatam, Aradhya Bhagavan Vajatane Stadham Vrindavan. Bhagavatam is a Vaishnava literature. We are speaking about Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Charitamrita is also Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. Yes. It is Brihad Bhagavatamrit. Brihad Bhagavatam is the foundational scripture for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas of Sanatana Goswami. And all the Goswamis developed their works based on this foundational scripture of the Brihad Bhagavatamrit. And Sanatana Goswami is our Sambandha Acharya. Is our Sambandha Acharya. So I was making this point, it's a very important point, that as long our Sambandha is not very deep, then our Abhidheya also will not reflect, and then we will not get the prayojan. So by studying, the Sambandha Shastra of Brihad Bhagavatamrit, then we are so much, we know that how deep is our relationship with Krishna, then our practices also will be that deep. So that Sanatan Goswami establishes in his Brihad Bhagavatamrit. So these Dashamula Tattva are very, very foundational truths which we should study. And this we can do at different levels in our practice of Krishna consciousness. At the basic level, we have to do it by studying the summary introduction to the Bhagavad Gita book. That is at the first level, I feel that you should study it in the beginning. We should study really in depth. All the terminologies which Prabhupada is using there, one should become familiar with all these terminologies. At least I think 15 to 20 terminologies he uses there. So we should become familiarized with the terminologies what Prabhupada is using there. The Tattva, Sambandha Videya Prayojana, all these terminologies, In the Mangalacharan is there. And Mangalacharan has what? Trivida Prakar. Vastu Nirdesh, Namaskar and Ashirvad. So all these terminologies one should become very, very familiar. What is the Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishta terminologies? Many terminologies are there. So at foundational level, first we should study the introduction essay to the Bhagavad Gita. His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj gave 20 classes on this just introduction in Vrindavan. There's a brilliant series of classes. You should hear that. Every statement he quotes and then Maharaj gives a commentary and explains it. 20 classes are there on this.
Introduction to Bhagavad Gita.
Just on the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. 20 classes are there. You should study that. At the second level, one should study the Sanatan Shiksha. Not the Sanatan Shiksha first, but first the Prakashanan Samvad and the Sarvabhaum Samvad at the second level. At the third level, we should study Sanatan Shiksha and then the Rup Shiksha. Ramanand Samvad, we should leave it. Okay. But these four at least we should finish. How important is this? You can understand by the emergency which Prabhupada felt in giving these books to his disciples right in the beginning of the movement. He wrote the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Similarly, he wrote the Nectar of Devotion, summary study. And then he had written already the Krishna book, the summary study. So Prabhupada knew the importance and that's why he gave this. So teachings of Lord Chaitanya also you should simultaneously study this because teachings of Lord Chaitanya is what? Prakashan Samvad, Sarvabhaum Samvad, Rup Samvad, Sanatan Samvad and Ramanand Samvad, Rai Ramanand Samvad. Only 5 Samvads are there. So the third level we should study Prakashan Samvad and Sarvabhaum Samvad and then the Sanatan Samvad. And then with the blessings of your spiritual counselors, your mentors, your Shiksha Gurus, after we have thoroughly studied all the Prabhupada books, especially the Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, then you can actually go into Bhaktivinoda Thakur's actual work of Dashamula Tattva. You can study first the Bhaktyaloka because it's very important. It's like a expansion of Updeshamrit verse 2 and 3. So Bhaktyaloka should be very, very important book, especially for practicing sadhakas. Bhaktyaloka should be studied. And as I mentioned, Dashamula Tattva, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a book. It is there in the Jaiva Dharma. But the best teaching and clear understanding of the Dashamula Tattva you can find in the Jaiva Dharma. So Jaiva Dharma should be studied later on. Only this section you can study if you want first, the Dashamula Tattva. Okay, so today now we'll just summarize this Dashamula Tattva. As I was mentioning, these 10 truths destroy the ignorance of the disease of the soul and reveals the soul's Jaiva Dharma, the Dharma of the soul. So what are these 10 truths? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a verse explaining this. Amnaya praha tattvam harim iha paramam sarvashaktim rasabdim tad bhinnam samscha jivan prakritir kavalitan tad vimuktam cha bhavat भेदा प्रकाशम सकलम अपे हरे साधनानां शुद्ध भक्तिम साध्यम तप्रीतिम एवेति उपदिशति जनान् गौरचंद्र स्वयं स आम्नाय प्राह. Now there are these 10 truths. Amnaya means what? Amnaya means the Veda. Another word for the Veda is Amnaya, or the teachings coming in the Guru Shishya Parampara. That is called as Amnaya. Amnaya means the Vedas. So this is called as a Praman. Hmm. Praman, our Praman is the Vedas. Amnaya, Praman. And within the Vedas, there are principles which are extracted from the Vedas. What are the teachings of Vedas? These are the 9 teachings which are called as Pramayam. There is Praman and there is Pramayam. Okay. Like you make a statement of the Vedas that Krishna is the absolute truth. This is a Pramaya. And you can prove this from the Pramans. That is the Vedas. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Matta Paratram Nanyat. Or many other quotations you can give, right? So Pramaya is, a principle which is drawn from the Vedas and it can be proved by the Vedas. So there is one Praman and there are 9 Pramayas. And altogether there are how many? 10 truths. That's why it is Dasha Mula Tattva. So what does the first Praman is the Vedas? Shabda Praman. What are the 9 other Pramayas? Praha, the Vedas proclaim what? Tattvam Harim Iha Paramam. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the absolute truth. So this is the first Pramaya. How many truths now we have now come to know? 2. First is Amnaya, Vedas. Second is Hari Paramam. Hari, Tattvam Param. Okay. Third, Sarva Shaktiman. The absolute truth possesses all potencies. Then he is the ocean of Rasa, Rasabdim. Now this Pramaya is unique to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Darshan. Krishna as Rasa. And that's why Rupa Goswami says, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He defines Krishna, he gives the absolute truth name as what? Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So this Rasabdim is a very unique tattva to Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan. In the Madhva also there are these Pramayas. There is also there Dashamula Tattva. But there Rasabdim is not there. It's Vishnu who is the Param Supreme Absolute Truth, like that. So there's a slight difference. And I think Vyas Tirth, brought out these teachings originally from Madhvacharya's works. And Baldev Vidyabhushan later on developed in the Gaudiya Darshan, the Pramaya Ratnavali. So Rasabdim is very unique to the Gaudiya Darshan. So first is what? Amnaya Vedas. Second is the absolute truth is the supreme. And then he is Sarva Shaktiman. And then he is Rasabdim. So there is one Praman, 3 Pramayas right now we have discussed, right? Among that, the first 3 are Ishwar Tattva. Yes? Ishwar Tattva. Okay. Now, the next, Tad Bhinnam Shamsha. He has his separated part and parcels. Who are they? They are the Jivas. the jivas. Okay. This is how much now? Fifth. Then jivan prakritin kavatitan. They're the bad jivas. And then there are tat vimuktans the bhavat. There are the mukta jivas. Okay. So jiva tattva, how many are there? Pramaya? 3. There is the jiva tattva, mukta jiva, and the bad jiva. And then bheda bheda prakasham sakalam api hari. There is the achintya bheda bheda tattva, relationship between the jiva and the Lord. Bheda bheda prakasham sakalam api hari. So all this total is how many truths now? 8. So this 8 is what is called as Sambandhigyan. So how much important it is for us to understand Sambandha? Yeah. So there are the Mukta Jivas, there are the Baddha Jivas. And the Jiva is the Amsha, Bhinna Amsha. It's the marginal potency of the Lord. And now to connect with Krishna, understanding the Sambandha, the Abhidheya is what? Sadhananam Shuddha Bhaktim. Please remember, not Mishra Bhakti. It is Shuddha Bhakti. So the 9th truth and the 8th pramaya is what? Abhidheya, which is Sadhana Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti means Shuddha Bhakti. Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti. Okay. And then Sadhyam. What is the Sadhya? Tat Pritim. This is the 10th train. 10th truth and the 9th pramaya. Shuddha Bhakti. Eveti Upadishiti Janan. Like this, certainly thus instructs the people. Who has instructed? Gaura Chandra Swayam Saha. The golden Lord whose effulgence resembles a moon. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. That is what, this verse says. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed this very beautiful verse. Let us recite. Amnaya praha tattvam harim iha paramam. Sarvashaktim rasabdhim. Tadbhinnam shamscha jivan prakritir kavalitan. Bheda tadvimuktam bhavat. Bheda bheda prakasham sakalam api harehe. Sadhanam shuddha bhaktim. Sadhyam tat pritim eveti upadishati janan. Gaura Chandra Swayam Sa. So one should, try to recite this verse and practice it. This Dashamula Tattva. And whenever you study Shastra, you should see which Tattva is being discussed here. That is how you should see from the Shastra Chakshu. So there are these 3 truths, Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. The Jiva's eternal relationship with the Lord. And to understand this relation and to act according to it. This is our Abhideya. And Krishna Prem is to return back to Godhead. So within these 3 truths are the 10 truths. One is Praman, the Vedas. 9 are Pramaya based on the conclusion of the Vedas. And Pramaya 1 to 7 deal with Sambandha. 8th deals with Abhideya. 9th deals with Prayojan. So total 9 Pramayas and 1 Praman. Sambandha Avideya Prayojan. As I was mentioning, in the analysis of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada himself wrote a commentary to the Gita and he did an analysis of the entire Bhagavad Gita. He wrote an article. It is there. It is there in his one of his Vyas Puja offerings. The whole article is uh, printed. And Prabhupada himself uh, wrote that introduction essay and he wrote an analysis to that essay based on this Sambandha Avidaya and Prayojan. That entire essay, he has categorized into Sambandha Avidaya and Prayojan. And each, paragraphs, if you see first to 5 paragraphs, speaks about uh, the first theme there, I don't recall. The second theme is what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita there. 3 paragraphs speak of the purpose. What is the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita? Yes. This is the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says. So first 5 paragraphs deal with the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. Then the next 2-3 paragraphs deal with the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. So like that, the development, then the 5 truths are there. 5 truths is, a long discussion there. And ultimately the goal that Prabhupada says, Antakale cha mame vasmaran, goal, attaining the Lord, right? So he wrote a, entire analysis of that introduction and the entire how to study the Bhagavad Gita based on these 3 truths, Sambandha Vidya Prayojan, and overall based on the 10 truths. So Prabhupada, in that article, I'm just summarizing that. In the analysis of the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada has categorized the subject matters of Bhagavad Gita under the following captions. Part 1, man's eternal relationship with Godhead. This is Sambandha. Then section 2, man's duty towards Godhead and nature of Godhead. This is also, that is Sarva Shaktiman and Rasabdhim, and man's ultimate necessity and perfection of life, which is Prayojan. So these 3 things are there in Prabhupada's article also. So Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojan. Bhagavan Sambandha, Bhakti Abhideya, Prema Prayojan. Veda Teen Vastu Kahe. So all the Vedas speak about this Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the central point of all relationships. Acting in devotional service to Him in one's real's occupation, and attainment of love of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. These 3 subject matters are described in the Vedic literature. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. SAP. I call it a SAP. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. Now this Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan is a very, very universal principle. It's a very universal principle. And it applies everywhere, in every field. Now, Sanatan Goswami is our Sambandha Acharya, right? In order to connect, enact Leela, there has to be an arena, right? There has to be an arena. So Sanatan Goswami creates that arena. Because without the arena, there cannot be any pastime to it. So for Krishna, it is the Vrindavan Dham. And then there have to be participants having relationships in order to reciprocate, right? Because the ultimate goal is to attain love, right? Or happiness, right? So how to do activities in relationship? And that is what Rupa Goswami giving the Abhidaya Shastra. And then ultimately, in that relationship, what is expected is ultimately love, right? That is Leela. Wonderful reciprocations. That is Leela, right? So, and then there is Gopinath. But most important is what? The arena, right? So just think about it. There is the cricket stadium. That is the arena. And then there have to be, there is a cricket stadium, but all the spectators are there and there are no players there. So then what? What is the point? Is there any relish there in the stadium. And then the players are just standing there, not doing anything. They have to do actions, right? And then when the football match, ultimately, what is the goal in the football match? What is the goal in the football match? To hit the goal, right? And when the goal is hit, then there is happiness, euphoria, right? So ultimately, in all our endeavors, there is prayojan. There's always prayojan. So sambandha, abhideya, and prayojan. So if you see these three terms, first comes sambandha, then abhideya and prayojan. But actually, first comes prayojan. First we reach prayojan, but in order to come there, first you have to go to sambandha, then abhideya and prayojan. I'll give you an example. One of my very close friend, he's a very senior devotee, congregational devotee, very big businessman, very sincere. He confided in me once. I was sitting in his car and going, he's very sincere in his practices, very dedicated, very committed. But he told, I have a goal. One day I want to buy the Mercedes Benz. Okay. So, moment he saw the Mercedes Benz, I want that. It means what? It is prayojan. Now he has established a sambandha with the Mercedes Benz. He goes to the showroom, touches the Mercedes Benz, and then he asks, what is the price? 1 CR. My goodness. I am now running a business which is making 50 lakhs profit a year. But to have a car with 1 CR, then I have to expand my business. So the next 3-4 years, with that goal to buy a Mercedes car, he starts expanding his business. What is that all he's doing? Abhidheya, Abhidheya. And the 4th year, he has made a profit of 90 lakhs. Another 10 lakhs he takes bank loan, goes to the showroom, and then actually purchases and he sits in the Mercedes car. Then he has attained the prayojan, prema, happiness. But the moment he comes out of the showroom, he sees a Jaguar car coming in front of him, he becomes envious. So prema is not prema in this world, it is all kama or neighbor's envy, owner's pride. So it's envy, it turns to. But only when our sambandha is with Krishna, then it leads to only prema. Otherwise, sambandha with any of these things of this material world will only lead to frustration. So this sambandha, abhideya and prayojan are universal principles. Everything you can apply. I have attachment to sweet rice because I get happiness. I would have developed a sambandha. And then, the pujari offers it. You go backside, collect it, keep it in your dabba there. All that is what? Abhideya. Because you're meditating when the afternoon will come and I'll have it. Then some other brahmachari comes and picks it up and you come and shout, who has taken my sweet rice? You don't attain the prayojan. So never you'll attain the prayojan here in this world. A man's attraction to a woman, moment he sees, he wants, I want to have her. That is prayojan. But then he establishes someone. The sambandh is established. Then he has to work to establish that relationship. And ultimately, when he gets married or when he attains, then there is prayojan. But it turns to a different rasa altogether. Right? So, only our sambandha is with what? Bhagwan. Because he is a Vedam Vastavam Vastu. He is a true substance. All other things are, illusionary in this world. So, like that, All these three terms are there within this 10 truths of Dashamula Tattva. Okay, again, there is a lot. Each of these truths we need to study, which time doesn't permit us. But sometime we will sit together and study maybe the introduction essay to Bhagavad Gita systematically. Okay. So any questions you have about this Dashamula Tattva? How many of you are first time hearing this about this Dashamula Tattva? But you have heard about the Sambandha Abhideya. But how far you have understood the terminology Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojan? How far you have studied Shastra based on Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojan? There's an entire 1 hour class I have given on based on these three terms, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan. How we should study Shastra based on Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan. These are very important terms. Very, very important terms. We should.
Pramana, when you say Vedas, the Purana also included?
Okay, very important question. So Jeev Goswami in the Tattva Sandarbhas makes it very clear. Praman means the Vedas. And Jeev Goswami makes a point that there are 10 different types of proofs. The principal ones we know. Pratyaksha, Anuman and Shabda. Apart from this, there are others also. There's Upama, there is Ash Praman, and then there is other Pramanas are there. So Jiva Goswami analyzes all that and establishes Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means Shastra Praman, the Vedas. And the Vedas means the 4 Vedas. Right? Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva. Among the Vedas, the Upanishads are considered as the highest Praman. Praman Madhe, Shruti Praman Pradhan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also in his Sarvamam Samadhi says, Praman Madhe, Shruti Praman Pradhan. Among the Pramanas, the Shruti Praman are considered. If you are quoting any verse from the Puranas and you are quoting a verse from the Vedas, then the verse from the Vedas will have higher weightage. And within the Vedas, if you are quoting any Upanishads, then that will have highest weightage from the Upanishads. Jiva Goswami establishes that in practically today's age, the Vedas are inaccessible to us. That's why we have to go to the Puranas. These are the 4 Vedas. That's what. That's why he establishes that most of them are lost. And neither we have the purity to recite those mantras and chant those mantras and understand the meaning of the mantras. So that's why we have to go to the Puranas. And he proves how the Puranas are the 5th Veda. There are the 4 Vedas, and this is the 5th Veda. And he gives various evidences right from the Upanishads to prove. He gives the Chandogya Upanishads quote, which Prabhupada also quotes in the Gita also. How Panchama Veda it is considered. It is considered as the 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Vedas. The 5th is Puranas. And among the Puranas, he establishes that even all other Puranas also prove the super excellence of Srimad Bhagavatam. So ultimately he proves that the highest Praman is Srimad Bhagavatam. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajas Tadhama Vrindavan. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahat. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tattradana Paraha. So Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam. So he establishes that Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest Praman. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered as the Chakravarti Samrat. It is the king of all scriptures. And all other Puranas also establish that, the super excellence of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is called as the Nirnayaka Shastra. And others, are called as Nirnayatar Shastra. Like any other scripture you read, if you want to understand the conclusion, you have to see from the light of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So like that, Jiva Goswami proves. In the Pramana Kanda, he does this. And in the Pramaya Kanda, he starts establishing the truths about the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this he does. So that's why for us, the highest is Srimad Bhagavatam. So yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is also having this, Dashamula Tattva only, because it is the highest Praman of the Vedas. But how it is coming, we have to study the whole, whole science and understand why we should accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the highest Praman. We should know the reason behind it. Otherwise, we might think that, maybe there are other Puranas also which are more interesting. And maybe while discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, let me discuss other Puranas also and give some other explanations. But Vyasdev himself is saying what? Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamune Krite Kimva Pare? Kimva Pare? What is the need of anything? Because only by Srimad Bhagavatam Vedam Vastavam Vastu Atra Shivadam. That the absolute reality is only revealed in the Srimad Bhagavatam and not in any other Puranas. And it is only this Purana where Dharma Projita Kaitavatra. Kaitava Dharma has been completely kicked out. It only speaks about pure devotion. So the other Puranas don't speak about pure devotion, mixed devotion. And by studying other Puranas, the absolute reality will never be revealed. It's only in this scripture is revealed. And the absolute truth can be captured in the heart only by studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. So one should have that thorough understanding and one should be fixed in studying the Srimad Bhagavatam and not looking for any other, nectar hunting here and there from other Puranas. Of course, if our acharyas are quoting from here and there, then we refer. Only if our acharyas have done that work. Because they have extracted from these other Puranas only what is pure devotional service and given to us. Otherwise, if we read independently, then, it is like Mishra Bhakti. Nana Shastra Vicharana Nipuno Sadharma Samstapko. They have done that work for us. So they have only extracted us from the other Puranas pure, Shuddha teachings and given it to us. So if they are referring, then we can refer that. Otherwise, we should not refer. There's no need. Where you see in Prabhupada's Bhagavatam quotations referring to other, only he might refer to other Puranas where only pure devotion, like somewhere in the Padma Purana or Brahma Vaivarta Purana, something, a Brahmanda Purana. But he doesn't describe those pastimes from other Puranas in detail. Oh, that Srimad Bhagavatam where there is a killing of Vritrasura. So Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized as a scripture where there is a killing of Vritrasura pastime there. Because if you read the other Puranas, there is also the pastime of Vritrasura's killing. But Vritrasura, there is a demon and Indra is a devotee. But only in the Srimad Bhagavatam is being brought out that Vritrasura is a pure devotee and Indra is a demon. So Vritrasura's heart, devotional heart, is only established in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly is Bhishma. If you read the Mahabharata, Bhishma, Bhishma's pure devotional never comes out there. It's only coming out in the Bhagavatam. That's why if you want to read the Mahabharata also, you should read the Mahabharata from the Bhagavad perspective, from the Nirnaya Shastra perspective. Is it clear? Any other clarifications?
This initially you were mentioning about the different categorizations of the impersonalists and then the personalist. This is also a part of Bhakti Shastri, right? Where initially one side is from where
Yes.
is that the same one you were referring to?
Yes, yes. In the Darshan, Shad Darshans, there is the Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa is called as the Vedanta Darshan. And within the Vedanta Darshan, there are these two divisions, the impersonalist and the personalist. The impersonalist is the Shankara line, the personalist are the four Sampradayas. And the Prasthana Traya, as I was mentioning, the Gaudiya Vedanta Darshan, we should study the Sarvamamsa. The Prasthana Traya is Shruti Prasthan, Smriti Prasthan, and Nyaya Prasthan. And within the Shruti Prasthan is the four Vedas, the Upanishads. Within the Smriti Prasthan is the Puranas and the Itihasas and the Mahabharata. And within the Nyaya Prasthan is the Vedanta Sutra. So any theological school, if you want to establish, then you should comment on these three categories: Shruti Prasthan, Smriti Prasthan, and Nyaya Prasthan. So Srila Prabhupada commented on the Shruti Prasthan in the form of his commentary on his Upanishads. Smriti Prasthan in the form of his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And Nyaya Prasthan, Vedanta Sutra. But Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural explanation on the Vedanta Sutra because Mahaprabhu accepted it. So Prabhupada commented on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we study, the Prasthanatraya. How many of you knew that we are studying the Prasthanatraya within? Yes, you should know that. We study the Upanishads, we study the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. So within the Bhakti Shastri, we study Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita from the Shruti and Smriti Prasthan. And sacred to Gaudiya Vaishnavism is the Abhideya Shastra, that is Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, which we study as part of Bhakti. That's how systematically Prabhupada gave. Why he chose these four books, you should know. This is how he chose these four books for our Bhakti Shastri. Prabhupada said that if one studies the four books of Bhakti Shastri, that is Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, and Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, one can completely understand the Krishna conscious philosophy thoroughly.
And when Prabhupada mentions the study of NOD project, so this is like only the one wing what we now study in the Bhakti Shastri, or is it all the four?
Yes, this is a very important question which is coming up regularly. Prabhupada, as an emergency, as I was mentioning, gave us what is called as the summary study of the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasa Amrit Sindhu. It was a summary study. And if you hear Prabhupada's first lecture, after he wrote this summary study book, his first lecture is there of 10 minutes. You should hear that. Prabhupada says one should carefully study this Nectar of Devotion 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And then says Prabhupada says repeatedly one should study. So Prabhupada, just like he gave the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and Krishna book, but later on he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita, and later on he wrote the Bhagavatam commentary, and he was almost on the 13th or the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, right?
Right.
So Prabhupada says in that lecture that, I don't have time now to actually comment on each of the verses of Rupa Goswami. But right now I'm giving you the summary study. So Prabhupada desired that, he wanted to write a verse by verse commentary of Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Devotion, sorry. But somehow it did not happen. But now the book is available. Manuswami is translated. So one should not only study the summary study, but should study verse by verse the verses of Nectar of Devotion with the commentaries of previous acharyas and Prabhupada's summary study. But one should study the summary study for many, many times. Many, many times he should study it. And one should not study only the Eastern division. Later on, one should study the Southern division. Because the Southern division,
In Bhakti Shastri, only Eastern is.
Bhakti Shastri Eastern is there because Eastern is the foundation to the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But the Southern division is the foundation to the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. So, one should study the Southern division because it discusses the components of rasa. And then there are these 5 rasas, Mukhya rasas in the Western division, and in the Northern division there are the the Gaun rasas, the 7 secondary rasas, and then there is 2 chapters on compatibility of rasas, compatible and incompatible rasas. So this study of nectar of devotion is a very, very important this for brahmacharis, for everyone, because rasa is what is unique in the Gaudiya darshan, and Rupa Goswami has come to give that. Vrindavan Vraj Ras, the rasa of relationships. So without studying the Southern division, which is like the foundation to the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, so we should study it over a period of time. We should study it, and we began the study now. We have been studying this now, Southern division. Yeah. Okay.
Only one last question. We have this like 2 categories, right? So within the impersonalists, we have this Mayavadis and the Brahmavadis. And it is said that the Brahmavadis are like not offenders to God, and then the Mayavadis are offenders to God.
Yes.
And within the Brahmavadis also we have 2 categories. One are, like say, those who are initially impersonalists, for example, and then they eventually become pure devotees. What is the second category within that? That I have heard it is in Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, but when I read the first 3 verses, that it was not I was not able to understand. I heard this explanation. It was a part of Bhakti Shastri also initially. Yeah, but can you tell within the impersonalists that the Brahmavadis and the Mayavadis? Now within the Brahmavadis there are 2 categories. Can you just there was somebody asked too much details, then I am confused.
Actually, there are not like 2. Firstly, there is let's say the impersonalist. Within the impersonalist, there are these 2 categories, broad categories. One are the Mayavadis and one are the Brahmavadis. Now, the Mayavadis are offenders. That's why they glide down. But the Brahmavadis, they understand that there is Lord and the Lord has pastimes, but they don't have any attraction. They have attraction to Brahman. So they do Brahmapasana, which is mentioned in the 12th chapter of the Gita. Now, within this Brahmavadis, actually in total, both the Mayavadis and the Brahmavadis, there are 4 divisions. There are 4 categories. Okay. There are 4 categories. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur in his commentary to 18.54 or 55, he discusses quite in detail there. 18.54 or 55, which requires an entire class to discuss. We have to understand that also because we have a little misconception about these things. So there he explains those 4 different categories there. And 2 of them are offenders. They fall down, even if they have attained the Jivan Mukta. But 2 attain liberation. 2 attain liberation. They are the Brahmavadis. And there are others who can, coming in association of pure devotees, turn into pure devotees. So there that categorization is there. I have the chart. I don't know where it is now. But it requires a full class explanation to understand it. You have to have a clear understanding of it. It's very important. Okay. Is it okay? It is too much of Tattva, what?
Important.
Explanations why it doesn't glorify Bhagavatam.
See, Upanishads, they analyze the absolute truth. But Bhagavatam is a scripture which describes the pastimes of the absolute truth. And Upanishads basically is a transitional scripture. There are the negative forms which we are attracted to. Okay. And then there is a positive form of the Lord, which is like the positive side of the x-axis. This is the negative side of that. The neutral axis is the Upanishads. So Upanishads are transitional scriptures which take us from the negative forms to the positive forms. So they are transitional scriptures, body of scriptures. So the Upanishads are very terse, and because there is a transition, of negation of the negative forms, but negation of the negative doesn't mean that there is the positive form. So because being transitional scriptures, that's why they don't deal with it. But the bhakti literatures speak about the positive form, speak about the pastimes of the positive form. So ultimately, the Upanishads take us to that. Because they're transitional body of scriptures, that's why they fall in that category, and that's why they don't discuss that. Like Upanishads speak about self-realization. Self-realization, Prabhupada says in 2.45 the Gita commentary that the Upanishads mark the beginning of self-realization. They mark the beginning. Then self-realization, further there is development in the form of relationship with the Supreme Self and reciprocation, like that. So they're transitional body of scriptures. That's why they don't discuss that. Is it okay? Clear?
Yeah, because many times we heard the four Vedas, they mainly discuss about demigod worship, demigods, other things. Four Vedas. Indra, Chandra, like for them glorification is more in Vedas.
But the Vedas, in one sense, are not polytheistic, they are monotheistic. It seems like that, there is glorification of Indra, Varuna, Surya, but actually they are all referring to the absolute truth only, in one sense. So the Vedas speak about monotheism, not polytheism.
In Bhagavatam at the beginning, Nardoni says, we have given so much, but Krishna is only very little given. He glorified other process so much that Krishna's position has become very minute and little.
No, there he has, spoken about Krishna Lila in other Puranas, but, there is also mention of Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. But that's why you exclusively, compose a literature which only glorifies Krishna Lila, pure devotion only. And that's why that was the defect in Vyasa's composition. That's what he brings out.
So from there we understand that Vedas just explain about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These four things only Vedas deal with. They don't go for higher.
The Panchama Purushartha, yes, it's only Bhagavatam. Yeah.
That's why more of fruitive activities are there in Vedas.
Yeah. Mostly, Trigunya Vishaya Veda. Mostly men are addicted to sense gratification. So there is a gradual way. Okay, Madhusudan Hari is calling me. We'll stop here. Okay, so thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Hare Krishna.